Hello friends, how are you doing today? I want to talk a little bit about, what do you call them, clarity calls, potential new client calls, whatever you want to call them. So a person's scheduled. I'm just sharing this story with you because sometimes, and this is why to have a questionnaire, if possible, for people to schedule with you is really important. So I just want to share the background story real quick. I got a request to set up a call to talk. So that says one level of I'm kind of interested or I'm really interested and I want to learn more, which is great. That means a person has some level of readiness, right? If they're willing to fill out a form and make an appointment and call you and keep the appointment. So good news number one. But as I'm reading the questions, what I'm noticing is that I'm calling you because I'm kind of curious, but every dietitian I've ever been on has been terrible and more triggering. I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. Anyway, that just kind of gets me a little excited. Okay, I want to show her what a real non-diet dietitian can do and can be helpful for and all that. So anyway, my thought number one is okay, you're getting some you're feeling somebody's fear and you're feeling somebody's apprehension, maybe ambivalence about either the process or what they've experienced, or maybe they just had a really terrible experience, but they know they need help. So there's a thing right there I'm thinking, number one, no matter what happens in this session, this mini session, so whether mine are usually 30 minutes to an hour. So no matter how long time is, goal number one from something lemony is that I want to give them a good experience of being listened to, of if their experience was really crappy, I'm yeah, that really sucks, which I did in this call. Number two is that we're going along and it's interesting how it's I need some structure with my food, but don't give me structure. Warning sign number two, right? It's I want to get better, but I'm not sure that I want anybody having say over that. It's not really a warning sign, but you're just kind of getting a sense of who this client is, what you might be working with here. And her perception was if she just had the right calorie amount, she'd be recovered, because past dietitians underfed her and she didn't really feel supported. And then when she would eat more food, she doubted what was given to her. So anyway, I'm just sharing all this because as the session went on, every time I gave her here's how non-diet nutrition counseling would work and what we would work on with your concern about not getting underfed, but helping your body find the just right place without counting calories. It was clear she wasn't to the place of intuitive eating yet because she wasn't even trusting, even when experts told her how much they thought she needed, she either did it and it wasn't a match, so she didn't trust professionals, or she did it and lots of emotion came up, so there must have been something wrong with that amount of food. It was too much. So she never really had the education of knowing that that's actually really normal to eat adequately and then feel like crap is hitting the fan, to have more emotion. So she didn't know that, so she didn't trust. So we kind of talked through some of that's a little bit of a normal process, and that the next step, and then she never indicated in this whole time, people were unpacking food worries or food rules or her body image worries about if she ate more food, she would gain weight. None of that was ever addressed, and she's been in some places that are known and work with people who are known, and so just putting that out there that is quite common, and it kind of unfortunately makes our job a little more not challenging, but our clients are going to come to us a little less trusting that people can help them. So anyway, by the end of the session, I'd really explained to her I'm seeing what you've done, what has worked, and I see that your motivation. What I'm seeing and what's missing is XYZ pieces, which is that on some level you've had a meal plan that was helpful, but because you felt more emotion, you thought it was too much. And what I'm hearing you didn't get is actually having somebody to support you through well, what is actually feeling too much? And she already had mentioned my energy was a little better and it was good, but then after about 2 months I couldn't do it anymore. And she didn't see the connection between the emotions coming up, but also feeling physically better. So she hadn't had anybody supporting her through that. So anyway, I talked to her about how that would go, and I said what I felt it was missing was just the deeper aspect of what is possible with full recovery, and I wanted her to know there's a big difference between being kind of recovered and fully done, and that I thought that was possible. So the whole time every time I would mention some of these things, she would kind of have an objection to like some little thing or the other. And then by the end of it, when I kind of like working through a lot of the objections, and not in a salesy way, but just in a very technical, non-diet counseling, decoding kind of way, then there was the money, which is interesting because she was on vacation to my state from her state when she was calling me that, I'm not sure she had the money for it, didn't think she wanted to pay out of pocket for things. And I asked her like how long she'd been struggling, and it had been years, 20 years she's had an eating disorder with not much relief, like still spinning on I'm not well nourished yet. And we talked a little bit about that 20 years, and is that something that, and I knew she was really intelligent, and I knew she was really motivated, because otherwise she wouldn't have called me and sought out finding somebody that she thought could help maybe. So I said, I didn't pressure her to work with me today. She wanted to go check her insurance company. That's totally fine. My guess is probably 60-40 she won't call me back, which is fine, because I wanted to plant by the end of this I could tell, like, and I talked to her about like a lot of times when we feel like because I didn't want to hear really the argument that there was not money, because I know what she's doing. She told me what she's doing, how her vacation's going, what she's participating in, and that has to be paid for somehow. So when you kind of know it's not about the money, but they say it's about the money, it's like, without saying that I know that you have it, it's more about like, so, basically what's it gonna cost? I keep trying to figure this out, and feeling really, really untrusting that no matter what people tell you, that you don't even quite trust yourself, let alone other people. What's the cost of that? And she could hear that. So anyway, I just try to make it very gentle, but, truthful about what I'm seeing here is like something for her to be thinking about is it really true that that's not accessible, or does she actually need to check the insurance, and whether they pay for it or not, she's still okay? That's unclear, and that's okay. It was more about like, okay. And I know, thank you. Yeah, it's priorities and fear resistance. Totally, that's what it's about, because the more I gave her reasons why, about what we could do, there wasn't any, the last one was the money. Absolutely. So, but and I don't know about you all, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, but I struggle with really, really, really pushing on the money part. Not because I don't think that, I told her I think she's a worthy investment. I did, because I think that's totally true. I don't often do the hard sell around the money part of like, and this is typically what you're going to hear for sales things. It's like, what's it worth for you to get this thing taken care of versus waiting, 1 more year, 5 more years, 10 more years. And there's some total truth to that. So I did some of that in a very, very soft kind of way. I wish I could remember the language, but I just want to share with you. The bottom line is that really sharing, like, I feel like I have some solutions for your issues. Every single thing she was telling me, I have a practice for helping her do that. Michelle saying, I find it difficult to deal with the money objections. Sound like you handle beautifully as usual. Well, I could have pushed harder, but I didn't, because I wanted her to have the chance to check with her insurance. The good news is that she did follow up with an email soon after this call. I did this call like an hour ago. 20 years is an extremely long time to suffer. And I know she spent a ton of money. The treatment center she's been to, insurance doesn't cover all those. So there's been investment in money in her recovery, and sometimes that's part of it. Is this going to help me? So that's what I spent the majority of my time working on, like, here's some places I see that you just haven't had the proper tools for. That's not your fault. That's not a lack of willpower. It's just not all people who work with eating disorders or non-diet work are skilled or trained enough to do the depth of work that needs to happen for somebody to get free. And to have the right team and the right timing. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I was just sharing those things with her and what exactly I would do to help her. And the money piece, I was just obvious, I did say that, like, sometimes we get scared to invest more because we've tried other things. Sometimes we don't feel like that we're worth it, or that anything will help. So I just want to leave you with that. And so it went well. I just want to share with you, like, when things aren't going as well, and you can really help a person, but they're just either not ready, they're not ready to say yes to you that day, it's okay. If you give them a very good experience, you really hear them out, and, on some level, it's like, I know that we want to work with people, for sure. I would love to work with this person because she's been struggling so long. I I really love to get my hands on her just because she's very intellectual and she needs some embodiment work. We talk a lot about that. It's like she thinks that recovery is just like, if I get the food right, I'll be fine. And I did a lot of unpacking with her, like, that's only like a small smidge of it. Yes, recovery is totally fine, but if you're not embodied with like feeling like it's 100% okay in your bones, you can trust yourself, you feel safe in your system, that you stop looping, like you can be done. So that was the thing I tried to impart, and that was my goal as this call got along. Is like, I'm not sure the girl is gonna work with me, but now the next step, I need to plant a seed. It's like, even if you got the perfect or right amount of food, that's not going to fix everything, So that's what I wanted to impart with her. I'm going to post below. She sent me an email saying thank you for spending some time with me. I'll check my insurance. I'll get back to you, that doesn't happen very often. So she still has a level of interest, which is good. I'm going to put the response email I sent her below, just so you can see how I responded to it quickly, not over salesy, but just reiterating what I wanted her to consider and how this might be different and might be like the next step forward she actually needs. So if this video was helpful, let me know. Thank you, Michelle, for coming live. Super appreciate it. I just had a few minutes and I was like, I'm going to talk about this experience, because we don't always work with everybody, obviously, that calls us. But if you can give a good experience, if you can point out how far they've come, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what you could actually provide for the problems that they want solved, then after that, it's just like, if there's money objections, it's learning how to work with that in an artful way without being business coach sleazy. Essentially, it's difficult. I'm not saying that I am definitely not perfect about it, and I definitely I'm still learning too. So just want to let you know. Thank you all so much. If you have any experiences like that you want to unpack below, put them below. If you have any other topics you want me talking about, I can do that too. So anyway, one last thing. I had something on mind I wanted to share with you all, and I kind of forgot. Anyway, if I think of it, I'll put it in the group here, or do another video. So thank you so much, and take care.